Hi, everybody. Welcome to our program. This is English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we begin our literature unit. So for the next 3 days, we're going to be talking about a famous work of literature. In this particular case, we're talking about The Scarlet Letter, a novel from 1850 by the American writer Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Yeah, this is a really big classic, isn't it? A book is a classic if it lasts a long, long time, and it's considered great literature. Things that aren't considered great literature would be things like comics or maybe romance novels or science fiction sometimes will rise to that level, but this is really a good book, and they've actually made different movies and TV shows based on this theme. We've got a story of a young woman, and she has to serve time in jail. That's actually how we talk about the time you have to spend in jail. You serve time. And her crime was adultery, having an affair with a married man, and she was married, but her husband had not been seen in years. And back then, of course, a lot of sailors were lost at sea sometimes. There was no way to text home or phone home when you got in trouble on the sea. Your ship would go down and then you were just gone. So we're going to talk about this plot, how people shame her. It's kind of a big deal these days in popular culture, shaming people. Fat shaming means you make fun of people who are fat, or, hair shaming. People have bad hair. So we're not supposed to bully people. Well, this lady was really bullied.
Okay, and that's what this story is all about. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson and hear about the plot of our featured work of literature, The Scarlet Letter. A young woman, Hester Prynne, is being punished for committing adultery in the Puritan town of Boston in 1642. Her husband hasn't been seen in years and is assumed lost at sea. Though she's recently had a baby, Pearl, Hester refuses to name the father. Hester is made to wear a scarlet letter A for adulteress, which she'll bear all her life. She must then stand before the town for 3 hours of public humiliation before serving a term in prison. Among the crowd, Hester sees her long-lost husband, now a physician, using the fake name Roger Chillingworth. He threatens Hester to keep her from revealing his true identity. He also vows to find and punish Pearl's father. As time passes, Hester gets work as a seamstress. Throughout the years, she's subjected to gossip and scorn, but atones by helping the town's sick and poor. Meanwhile, a local minister, Arthur Dimmesdale, is sick and his health is worsening. While treating him, Chillingworth finds an A-shaped red mark on Dimmesdale's chest. Chillingworth deduces that Dimmesdale is Pearl's father and that he'd marked himself with the A out of guilt. One night, concerned for Dimmesdale's safety, Hester reveals Chillingworth's identity to Dimmesdale. They plan to take Pearl and flee to Europe to live as a family. Soon after, while delivering a sermon to everyone, Dimmesdale confesses everything, opens his shirt to reveal the A mark, and dies. Denied revenge, Chillingworth dies shortly after as well, but leaves his fortune to Pearl. Although Hester and Pearl disappear for a few years, she later returns as an advisor who comforts other women. After she dies, she's buried in a joint grave with Dimmesdale under a tombstone marked with an A.
Okay, guys, let's look at the title first. Sin and Salvation in the Scarlet Letter. Sin refers to things you do that are morally wrong. They might not be against the law, but people choose not to do them so they can still think of themselves as a good person. Like, if you lie, that's bad. That's a sin. You probably won't go to jail unless you lie to the government. Then you possibly could go to jail. Salvation is a a term we have in religion. It usually just means when you die, you won't go to hell. You'll be saved because you're a good person and you can be in heaven. So we see both sides of this coin, sin and salvation. Sin, you're going to hell. Salvation, oh, you get to live in heaven where it's beautiful. And, of course, this is all in the very classic novel, The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Okay, so let's summarize our featured novel, The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. It says here, a young woman, Hester Prynne, is being punished for committing adultery in the Puritan town of Boston in 1642. So this is a young woman by the name of Hester. Hester, that's her first name. And adultery, of course, is when you have sexual relations with somebody else. Either you're married and you're seeing somebody else, or that person is married. Either way, it's something you're not supposed to be doing. And this, of course, was particularly bad in Puritan New England because the Puritans were early settlers in the United States, and they were very conservative in their religious views. They couldn't have fun. They couldn't listen to music. They couldn't have parties, stuff like that. So, my goodness, if you committed adultery, you were a bad, bad person.
Yes, you were. Actually, adultery is still considered to be pretty awful, although it happens more and more these days, which is sad because it can break up families. So we've got a young woman. Her name is Hester Prynne. Hester's a very old-fashioned name, and I actually don't know anyone who's named Prynne as a last name, so it's kind of unusual. But Hester was a popular name back in 1600s, 1700s. So Tom talked about how the Puritans were really strict. No fun at all. And you just had to obey all of their little rules. So her husband hasn't been seen in years and is assumed lost at sea. I talked a little bit about that. Back then, there was no way to communicate when you went on a long sea voyage or maybe took your horse and rode across to a different area. There just was no way to communicate. So when his ship went down, or if any ship went down, there was no way to notify people that, wow, we had a shipwreck and I died. No. So people just had to assume he was gone, he was dead, because he never returned from that sea voyage. So if you assume something, guys, you think something is true or false with no real evidence. So sometimes we assume things based on what we see or gossip we hear, but until you have the facts, you don't know for sure.
So they assume that he is dead, or at least they assume that he was lost at sea. Maybe he crashed onto a small island somewhere, but he's gone. He's out of the picture. And though she's recently had a baby, Pearl, Hester refuses to name the father. So, yes, she had an affair. She was convicted of adultery, and she did have a baby. They want to know, hey, who's the father? If your husband is lost at sea, then you had a little bit of a fling with somebody. So, hey, we're the Puritans. We need to know who to punish, who's the father. But she refused to reveal his identity.
Yeah, here's the unfair part of adultery. The woman can possibly get pregnant, so everyone knows she had an affair, but the guy, no consequences. So that's life, huh? So, yeah, it was obvious she'd had an affair with someone who wasn't her husband because she became pregnant, and her husband had been gone for several years. So she's recently had her cute little baby girl, Pearl. But she doesn't want to tell anybody who the father is, as Tom said. Hester is made to wear a scarlet letter A for adulteress, which she'll bear all her life. This word scarlet refers to the color red, and it's a very blood red color. It's a beautiful color, actually. So this is really unfair, but this is what people did back then. If you did something wrong, people wanted you to confess, and then you were usually shunned by others. Shunning people means you refuse to be around them. You don't talk to them. You don't invite them to your parties. She was forced, made to wear just means forced to wear a scarlet or red letter A, which stood or represented that she was an adulteress. So adulteress is for a female, and adulterer is for the male. Although sometimes they just call them both adulterers, but adulteress is definitely a female.
Right. Of course, it's much easier to find out if the woman was an adulteress as opposed to the man being an adulterer. So she has to wear this letter A, and I guess she's going to wear this for the rest of her life. Here it says, which she'll bear all her life. To bear something means to show it. So she's always got to be wearing this letter. And she must then stand before the town for 3 hours of public humiliation before serving a term in prison. So they force her to stand in front of the town's residence, probably downtown, in the central part of the city, and people walk past and they call her names, they spit on her, maybe they throw eggs at her.
Terrible.
They call her names, stuff like that. So yes, it's all terrible, and she has to do this for 3 hours.
Hey, what did you call those things back then that they were made out of wood and they put your hands and your head through it?
I think it's the stock or the stockade.
The stocks?
The stocks.
Yeah, I'll look that up. But it was terrible. They would kind of lock you up in public, in the middle of town, and people could walk by, kick them, spit on them, call them names like you said. That's what people do when they want to humiliate someone. If you humiliate someone, you make them feel very embarrassed. You ridicule them. You bully them for doing something. You can be humiliated by doing something yourself. One day I kind of tripped over and I fell on the sidewalk and I ripped my pants. It was so embarrassing. I was humiliated. So you can be very, very embarrassed when things like that happen. So that's what happened to her. Among the crowd, she actually sees her long-lost husband. We're going to talk more about this, guys, but first, we got to take a quick break. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要看的是第7单元。好，这个单元呢，谈的跟文学有关。这个文学作品叫做《The Scarlet Letter》。大家如果听过一个书的名字叫《红字》，没错 ，Scarlet 这个颜色就是一种深红色，所以 Scarlet Letter。我们中文翻成红字。那这个故事我们分成3个大段落来看。那主要我们先从故事的内容讲起，我们再谈作者，然后呢再来谈这个作品它有什么样的主题、主旨跟意涵。好，首先呢我们就先看故事本身。这个故事呢背景是在1642年。好，文章的开头就提到了我们剧中的主角 Hester， 他呢在牢里面服通奸的一个刑期。好，这个故事当然事实上这个背景在那时候呢1642年的时候，这个地方是一个清教徒的小镇。所以呢当这样的一个罪行犯了之后，当然当地的人一定是对于这个犯罪的人心中怀有一种恨意，或者是说对这样的行为非常不以为然。不过这里的主角他的先生呢，当时人家都以为他已经不见了，以为他死了，死在海底。可是知道吗，这个 Hester 女主角她生下了一个女儿叫做 Pearl。 那这个时候他却不愿意告诉别人这个父亲到底是谁，而他就被迫呢带了一个表示通奸妇女的红色字母，这个字母就是 A。 好，不过因为我们知道这一位被写上通奸罪名的人她是一个女性，所以我们看到这个字 ADULTERESS 就是一个女性的结尾。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, let's continue to summarize The Scarlet Letter, the 1850 novel from Nathaniel Hawthorne. So remember, we've got Hester being made to stand before the town for 3 hours of public humiliation, and all the people are passing by, and Hester sees someone she recognizes, her long-lost husband. There he is. He was assumed lost at sea, but he's in the crowd there. And his name is Roger Chillingworth, okay? And he threatens Hester to keep her from revealing his true identity. So I guess they have a conversation later, and he says, yes, I know, you know I'm here, but if you dare reveal my identity to anybody, you're going to be in big trouble. That's what to threaten means. You basically say you're going to hurt them if they do something. He also vows to find and punish Pearl's father. So again, she had an affair with somebody. She's an adulteress, and she's had a baby with someone else other than Roger Chillingworth. So he's, of course, jealous about this. And so he says, I'm going to find him and I'm going to punish him. He vows to do that. To vow means to to promise to do something. That's the verb form. It could also be a noun. You exchange vows when you get married, for example. But here it just means you're promising to do something, and it's usually a pretty big deal. So he promises or vows to find him, punish him, beat him, torture him, or whatever. And as time passes, Hester gets work as a seamstress, which is a woman who sews clothes.
Yeah, so somebody's pretty good at sewing. Back then, there were no sewing machines, ladies. Pretty tough. You would have to sew clothes by just using a needle and thread. It was very slow. So, yeah, isn't that creepy? Her husband leaves her, goes off, and starts a new life.
But he came back here, though, so things can't all be bad.
I don't think he's back there to reunite with his former wife. She sees him in the crowd, so it's not like he just knocks on the door and says, oh, by the way, I needed a couple years off to go study and become a doctor. So as time passes, it says, she does get work as a seamstress. Throughout the years, she's subjected to gossip and scorn, but atones by helping the town's sick and poor. She's actually got a lot of good in her. She does good things too. So if you're subjected to something, it means you are forced to endure or bear something that's horrible for you. So she's forced to endure gossip and scorn. When you talk about someone being scorned, it just means a lot of people are showing their contempt for you. They're making you feel horrible about yourself because they say you're a bad person. I can't stand you. I can't believe you are even in my neighborhood. I can't stand you so much. So you just make them feel awful about themselves. Of course, they're continuing to gossip about her because that's fun. That's a kind of a big story, right?
It is indeed a big story. So as an example here for scorn, I could say the president received a lot of scorn from the public because of the scandal. Okay, that's an example sentence. So here she's the subject of gossip and scorn, but she atones or makes up for her sin. That's what to atone means. Atonement, of course, is making up for your sin. She helps out the sick people and the poor people of the town. Now, meanwhile, we've got this local minister who's like the leader of a church, Arthur Dimmesdale. He's sick. He's ill. He's not feeling well, and he's afraid he's going to die. So, of course, he needs to see a doctor. So while treating him, Chillingworth, the doctor, finds an A-shaped red mark on Dimmesdale's chest. Boy, he's probably thinking, that's a really weird birthmark there. How the heck could somebody have an A-shaped birthmark on their chest? So the doctor, Chillingworth, is very confused about that.
I think he probably is shocked to see it because it looks very familiar to him. He's seen the same A on his wife. Interesting. So Chillingworth, that creepy physician, I think he's a bad guy, he deduces or figures out that Dimmesdale is Pearl's father, and that he marked himself with the A out of guilt. He must have taken a knife and carved the letter A into his chest.
Oh, that would hurt.
Ow. Okay.
Maybe it was branded there.
Or maybe he just used some paint, but I don't think so. I think he probably had to use a knife or a brand, like you say.
Maybe he got a tattoo.
They didn't have those back then, but the branding might work. They would brand cattle with the hot iron. Yeah, ooh, that would hurt. But anyway, he's got an A on his chest that he did himself. I don't like to hurt myself like that. So one night, concerned for Dimsdale's safety, Hester reveals Chillingworth's identity to Dimsdale. So Hester goes ahead and actually confirms what Chillingworth actually thought. He kind of guessed after he saw the A, oh, this must be Pearl's father. But Hester goes ahead and reveals and also confirms what Chillingworth had thought. So they plan to take Pearl and flee to Europe to live as a family. So if you flee, guys, this is a word we use when someone needs to get out of a very dangerous or harmful situation, so they run. So to flee doesn't mean to walk. It means to run as fast as possible to get away from a situation of danger.
You might flee the war, for example, and become a refugee. But in this particular case, of course, Dimsdale is the minister. He's the pastor of the local church. That would be a really big scandal.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, the minister and his mistress decide to run away to Europe and live as a family. I guess things are more progressive in Europe, or at least they won't know who they are. But soon after, Dimsdale is delivering a sermon. So while delivering a sermon to everyone in the church, Dimsdale confesses everything, opens his shirt to reveal the A mark, and dies.
Ooh.
Okay, so of course, if you are a minister or a pastor or a priest at a Catholic church, during the service, that person will deliver a sermon, which is a kind of speech that they give during the service. It probably talks about a story from the Bible or something like that, or something in life that we should learn about, some kind of moral or something like that. So he delivers this sermon to everyone, but as part of that sermon, he confesses. He reveals the truth. I confess, I did it. I had an affair. He reveals the A. And let's see, was he sick? I think, yes, he was sick. So right there on the pulpit in the church, he passes away. He croaks. He dies. He is no longer with us.
Wow. So denied revenge, Chillingworth dies shortly after as well, but leaves his fortune, all his money, he leaves to his not his real daughter, but, you know, he's the father, I guess, to Pearl. So if you're denied revenge, guys, it means you're not able to get back at the person who hurt you. So revenge means you're going to hurt or harm someone who actually hurt you. So that's what revenge is. So both the men, they're both creepy men as far as I'm concerned. They both die. But thankfully, Chillingworth at least does one good thing and leaves his fortune to Pearl. It's not her fault who her father is. So although Hester and Pearl disappear for a few years, she later returns as an advisor who comforts other women. She's been through some bad times, so she can really be sympathetic, empathetic to other women. And after she dies, she's buried in a joint grave with Dimsdale. Oh, they bury her with the guy she had the affair with, under a tombstone marked with an A. A tombstone is a grave marker where someone's buried. It's usually made out of marble or really solid rock, and your name is carved into it with the dates of your life.
My grandparents' tombstone or gravestone is made out of granite, but of course, graves in Taiwan are somewhat different. But in any case, this particular tombstone is marked with an A. I wonder what that A stands for. I guess you'll have to read the novel to find out.
It could be always together.
Could be something like that. Or it could be the assistant captain of a hockey team,
No.
which they wear on their sweaters. But in any case, that's another story. But that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Let's hear now from our Chinese teacher.
好，我们继续再来看这个故事。我们说到了这个故事的女主角叫做 Hester， 她犯了通奸罪，所以呢，她就被迫必须要带着一个这样子的一个字母 A 放在她的身上，表示大家都知道她是一个罪犯，而且她犯了通奸罪。再来呢，这一天他还必须要站在证明前被羞辱3个小时。我们知道，当我们说服刑 serve one's time 或者是 does one's time, do one's time 都表示服刑。而就在这个人群当中，他看到了谁？ Her long lost husband。再来呢，我们知道他的先生到底是一个什么样的人？ 其实他是一位医生，而且呢，现在他还用了一个假名。为了就是说他不想让别人知道他到底是谁，他要 Hester 不能把他的真实身份说出去，而且呢他还说，因为你知道 Hester 他生下一个女儿，而且呢他还发誓要把这个 Pearl 的父亲给抓出来惩罚他。好，我们继续往下看，在下面呢我们就知道这个故事当然发展到后来，这个 Hester 他其实他心地非常的善良，时间一年一年的过去，虽然说很多人批评他，但是他却是尽量的去帮助穷人，为做这些事情来赎罪。后面呢就提到说，他当时呢有一位当地的牧师他病了，而且呢你知道吗，他原来的先生就是医生，那他在治疗这个牧师的时候，却发现说，哇，他身上竟然胸前有一个 A 形状的红色标记。好，我们来看一下这里，从这边他就推断出有可能这一位牧师就是这个 Pearl 的爸爸。好，故事呢当然就继续的演进，那到后来呢，我们知道吗？有一天当这个牧师他在对大家讲道的时候，他把他衬衫打开，让大家看到他身上有一个 A 这样的标记，之后他就过世了。这时候他过世了以后，那我们知道 Hester 的先生也就没办法复仇了，无法复仇。我们看到这里写着 denied revenge， 我们知道这个 denied 其实它是 D-E-N-Y 变成了 I-E-D， 也就是过去分词。为什么要用过去分词呢？因为这里是一个分词构句，原来的句子就是说 as he was denied revenge， 换句话说他没有办法复仇。 deny somebody something 可以当作拒绝给这个人什么东西，这里就是表示他无法复仇。好，我们今天讲解就到这边结束，我们下次见。
That's it, guys. But in our next program, we're going to talk about Nathaniel Hawthorne, which will be fun. I always like the bios of our authors. It's one of my favorite parts of our literature unit.
Me too.
For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
See ya.
Bye.